The observation deck of the stellar horizon hummed with the quiet efficiency of a ship in deep space. Nira pressed her scaled hand against the transparisteel viewport, watching the stars streak past in ribbons of light. The Vexillari cadet had been aboard the Coalition training vessel for 3 cycles now, yet humanity still puzzled her in ways she couldn't quite articulate. "You're staring again," Kalen said, his chitinous plates clicking softly as he approached. The Threll cadet had noticed Nira's fascination with their human crewmate weeks ago. "I'm observing," Nira corrected, though her eyes remained fixed on the human quarters visible through the corridor below. "It's what we're supposed to do. Learn from other species." Inside the modest cabin, Lieutenant Marcus Webb sat cross-legged on his bunk, a data pad balanced on one knee. What drew Nira's attention wasn't the human himself, though his species remained relatively new to the galactic stage, but rather the 2 creatures curled around him. One, a quadrupedal mammal with golden fur, rested its head on the human's thigh. The other, smaller and gray-striped, had coiled itself into a perfect circle near his feet. "Those are his pets," Kalen observed unnecessarily. "Domestic animals, non-sentient." "I know what pets are," Nira said, irritation flickering across her faceplates. "My people keep glowfish, but we keep them in tanks, contained, separate." "As do mine," Kalen agreed. "The logic is sound. Pets serve aesthetic purposes or companionship at a distance. What the human does is inefficient." Nira had studied the reports. Humans brought their pets everywhere, aboard stations, onto colony worlds, even on long-range exploration vessels like this one. They fed them, cleaned up after them, spoke to them despite receiving no linguistic response. They allowed these creatures into their most private spaces. They let them sleep in their beds. "It's unhygienic," Nira muttered. "Those animals shed biological matter. They require constant maintenance. And for what? They provide no tactical advantage, no computational support, no labor value." "Perhaps we should ask," Kalen suggested, his compound eyes gleaming with curiosity that mirrored her own. They found Marcus in the mess hall an hour later. The golden creature, a dog she'd learned it was called, sitting alertly beside his chair. The smaller one, a cat, was conspicuously absent, likely sleeping somewhere it shouldn't be. "Lieutenant Webb," Nira began formally, though Coalition protocol encouraged casual interaction among cadets and junior officers. "May we inquire about your companions?" Marcus looked up from his meal, genuine warmth crossing his features. "Rex and Luna? Sure, pull up a seat." The dog's tail began moving in that peculiar wagging motion humans found endearing. Nira sat carefully, maintaining what she considered a safe distance. "We've observed that they sleep in your quarters," Kalen said, direct as always. "This seems impractical. Why do you allow it?" Marcus's hand dropped automatically to scratch behind the dog's ears. The creature leaned into the touch, eyes half closing in apparent pleasure. "Because I trust them," he said simply. Nira's head crest flattened in confusion. "Trust them to do what?" "They're non-sentient. They can't stand watch. They can't operate systems or alert you to dangers that your own sensors couldn't detect. Can't they?" Marcus smiled, that infuriating human expression that could mean a dozen different things. "Rex here once woke me up 30 seconds before a pressure alarm went off. Something in the ventilation system. His hearing's better than mine, better than the ship's microphones in some ranges." "An anomaly," Kalen suggested. "Statistical outliers don't justify the constant proximity." "Maybe not to you," Marcus agreed amiably. "But Luna once sat on my chest for 2 hours straight purring. I'd just gotten news that my father passed away. Couldn't make it back for the funeral. She didn't know why I was upset. Didn't need to. She just knew I needed her there." Nira felt something uncomfortable shift in her chest. The Vexillari didn't process grief the way humans did. When her clutch mother had died, Nira had attended the recycling ceremony with appropriate solemnity, then returned to her duties within the hour. Clean, efficient, proper. "But the trust," she pressed. "You said you trust them. They're animals. They operate on instinct, not loyalty." Marcus was quiet for a moment, his fingers still moving through Rex's fur in that rhythmic pattern humans called petting. "When I sleep, I'm vulnerable, completely defenseless. And yeah, we're on a coalition ship with top-grade security. But something in me, something old, something from when we were still living in caves, that part of me needs to know that someone's watching." "The ship's AI watches," Kalen pointed out logically. It's not the same, Marcus said. Rex sleeps beside me because he chooses to. Because somewhere in whatever thoughts dogs have, he's decided I'm his pack, that I'm worth protecting. Luna curls up at my feet because she feels safe there. Safe with me. You're projecting sentience onto instinct-driven behavior, Nira argued, but her voice lacked conviction. Marcus shrugged. Maybe, probably even. But here's the thing. Trust isn't always logical. My ancestors survived because they learned to trust the wolves that eventually became dogs, because they brought cats into their grain stores and learned to coexist. We evolved alongside them. They became part of who we are. He leaned back and Rex immediately adjusted position, maintaining contact. When everything else is cold steel and recycled air and the void of space outside the hull, they're warm. They're real. They're something that doesn't care about my rank or my mission briefings or whether I made my training quotas. They just care that I'm there. Inefficient, Nira said again, but the word felt hollow now. Inefficient. Marcus agreed cheerfully. Impractical. Illogical by most species standards. But human? Absolutely. That night, Nira stood again at the observation deck watching the human quarters. Marcus had dimmed his lights for sleep cycle. In the faint glow, she could see Rex's form stretched along the human side, and Luna curled into a small ball near the pillow. Still observing? Kaelin had returned, still learning, Nira corrected. She thought about her glowfish, beautiful and distant in their tank back home. She'd never touched one, never let one close enough to know her presence beyond the shadow at feeding time. Do you think he's right? Kaelin asked. About trust? Nira watched the sleeping human and his companions, vulnerable together, trusting together, utterly illogical and somehow perfectly right. I think, she said slowly, that humans understand something about connection that we've optimized away. They sleep with their companions not despite the vulnerability, but because of it. The trust isn't just what they give, it's what they receive back. Inefficient, Kaelin observed, but there was something almost wistful in his tone. Yes, Nira agreed, her hand pressed against the cool viewport. Wonderfully, terribly, beautifully inefficient, and somewhere in the vast, cold logic of her vexillary mind, something small and warm flickered to life, the beginning of understanding why humanity, with all their impractical bonds and illogical loyalties, had somehow earned their place among the stars.